Peace. Okay, so Anthony Dixon said, I'm gonna just go through some of these comments real quick. Anthony Dickinson said, I guess this should reveal all doubts that the government determines winners and losers in America. That is an absolute fact. That's an absolute fact. Peace, brother Vince Jefferson. He said he's plugged in. Ali Dawood L said, Peace, team. Is the true for real? I'm gonna pull some things up. Miss Battle says, shout out to Miss Battle. She been rocking with us for a long, long time. She said, I wasn't going to watch because I'm heated, but here I am. Man, we was heated earlier. You should have heard us on the Conscious Funk,
Yes.
Chris Emanicki. They in the building tonight. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. So this is kind of blurry because it was sent to me, but let me share this. And I'm gonna go to Brother Ibrahim's page because he has the whole article posted on his wall. Because he had why does it do this sometimes? I don't understand that. Okay, let's do it like this. I gotta go through the whole window thing instead of just pulling it up like this. It's kind of blurry, but this is from the Wall Street Journal. This was a tweet that they put out based on the article. Shout out to Brother Marlon Watson in the building. Freedman Street, 1865, host Antonio Thomas. Shout out, fam. We gonna talk about it. Sister Satra Del Ree, 360. We had to give Sister Satra Del Ree a wrench, man. She been going in. Brother Chris in the building said they really trying hard to get that Latino vote. Shaking my head. So you see, it says the U.S. is in talks to offer immigrant families separated at the border in 2018 about $450,000 a person in compensation. People familiar with the matter say. Ooh. Interesting. This is very, very interesting. So, Ali, man, before we go, let's talk about it a little bit, bro. Let's talk a little bit about it. What's your initial thoughts when we first heard this news? I know all of our voices was type elevated. I think your voice was probably the most elevated.
Well, what I think is this, right? It sends a crazy message, right? It's sending a message to not only Americans, but to the immigrants who are seeking to illegally come across the border, which is that you can violate American immigration laws and then be rewarded reparations for doing so. That's what I think immediately about it, is that this is what they're doing. Is they're sending that particular message, it's specifically for people coming across the Mexican border. And it takes me back, and we can touch on this later, to when Joe Biden was running for the presidency, and he was specifically asked about reparations for the freedmen, who are the descendants of those people who were formerly enslaved. And he answered specifically that Latinos were the future and that the United States needs to invest in. So that's what it kind of conjured for me.
We're gonna play the clip tonight. We gonna play the clip tonight. Oh, yes, we are. We are going to play the clip tonight. Make sure y'all share the video out, family, because we're gonna talk about some things tonight. This is the Democratic Party, the party of benign neglect. We gonna talk about these people that's pushing this down ballot Democrat nonsense. It doesn't need reevaluation. It needs to be trashed. It needs to be trashed. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. We're gonna get into that. All right, where do I want to go with this first? Ibrahim has the story on his Facebook wall. It's from the Wall Street Journal. I'm trying to see where I want to go with it. Geesh. I mean, look, so I'm gonna read this part. People taken into custody for alleged illegal entry. Alleged.
Alleged.
Alleged, family. Alleged illegal entry,
Uh,
sat in cages at a facility. Man, let me pull it up, man. I like for people to read along with us. I don't want nobody to be like, they could just be freestyling this stuff. Let me make sure everybody can see that. Uh,
mhm.
it's all right. It's all right. Okay, it looked better on YouTube than when I'm looking at it anyway. It's a little more clearer. So,
Mhm.
you know, Sister Tara Perry said,
Well, it's
violate
like
American immigration law and be compensated. Peace to our Sister
facts.
Tara.
What
Peace
up,
to our
Tara?
West
What
Coast
up,
family.
Tara?
Peace to our West Coast family. What you was
Yeah.
gonna say, Ali?
I'm just shouting out Tara, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened. That's what they're doing, and they're acting like black people haven't been separated from their families for violating
That's right.
laws. Like, you know how many black people have been. Listen, you already spoke on it with your own personal experience
That's right.
growing up.
That's right. That's right. Not growing up is like what happened with my son. I'm gonna get into that. I'm
Mm,
gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna share a little personal story. So it says many of the lawsuits describe lasting mental health problems for the children from the trauma of the months without their parents in harsh conditions, including anxiety, a fear of strangers, and nightmares. Whoa, let's speak about the lasting
so,
mental health problems of the black kids in Chicago and New York and all over the country who call themselves savages and monsters and goons and gorillas and gangsters. That is, and it's not from the trauma of months. This is from the trauma of generations, over 100 years,
generations.
200 years. What are they talking about?
And think about the people who get incarcerated that are separated from from their children, and children sometimes being taken from parents and put into foster care system where they're traumatized, abused, etc. Right? So our people have been dealing with that kind of thing for years, right? And nobody's ever compensated for that. These are actual tax. You talking about citizens, man? Citizens, and they're going to give illegal aliens reparations, because that's what it is. That's what this is. Reparations for actually being criminals. They're being compensated for being criminals. That's what they're doing.
That's right. Let me read this next part. Let me read this
Hmm.
next part. So let me pull up because somebody made a comment. Um, Fashite. I can't try to. I'm gonna butcher it, but I believe it's a she. Says 450,000 per person, y'all, not per family. Yeah, this we know. This we know. Let's
Facts.
finish reading.
Facts.
It says the lawsuits seek a range of payouts, with the average demand being roughly 3.4 million per family. Some of the people said. In recent months, lawyers for the families and the government have told courts overseeing the cases that they are engaged in settlement negotiations and hope to reach a deal by the end of November. Brother Ibrahim, we was on with him earlier. He said they trying to give these people a early Christmas.
That's
They
right.
trying to give them a nice Christmas. You cross the border illegally. You got detained. We not saying that we agree with what happened with the children being separated and all of that. We not saying that we agree with that, but y'all are going to ignore our traumas. Then y'all are going to slap us in the fifth. No, not slap. You ever see a horse kick somebody, mule kick us in
Yeah.
the dead
Yeah.
in the grill, and give these people upwards to $3.4 million that they're going to spread within their Mexican community here in the United States, or excuse me, not
Well,
just Mexican, all different types of Hispanic communities.
well. Now look. When you read the rest of that article, it talks about a pathway to citizenship towards the end. This is something that Biden is pushing for. A pathway they didn't use the word citizenship, but a pathway in order for them to be here legally is what is the terminology that they use, something to that nature. Basically, they're trying to give them the rights of citizenship without even being citizens. That's what they talk about. So they
That's right.
really want them people to stay here with the money, and they're going to try to encourage that by having them be able to work legally, to live in this country legally, and to be able to work in this country legally. They're giving these people a come up, B.
That's right.
Mind you, we had to go through indentured servitude. We had to go through Negro chattel slavery. We had to go through racial terrorism, all of these things just to get to the point of being able to pass a civil rights act between the 1860s and 1960s. Just getting to that point, right? And these people are able to fast track this stuff by simply breaking the law.
That's
My
right.
bad, man. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, no, man. This is craziness. Shout out Rob Smith, Fabio Gustavo. I'm about to pull your comment up. Sister Shanna Peace. Fabio Gustavo said, didn't they just deport a whole bunch of Haitians? You see, what would become of the Haitians who were being whipped by neo-Confederates who had big smiles on their face, Kool-Aid smiles we used to call them. They were whipping them, rounding them up like sheep, black sheep, because that's all our dark brown skin is to the United States of America, black sheep. But we, the freedmen, are going to change that. Man, Josh jumped on the call earlier, and he said, what you gonna do? For those of you not familiar with the series, Them, the father, his subconscious, the husband, the brother that was of the family, the father of the family, the husband, his subconscious was a man painted in blackface. And this subconscious person manifested itself to him as a person in blackface, somebody that's shucking and jiving and cooning and etc. We got brother Ibrahim on BTP Ibrahim in the building, and the blackface thing was its conscious, like you can't take no more of this. What you gonna do?
Right.
And finally, the brother snapped. What you gonna do? What? Let me read some more of this, bro, and we could close this out, man. The discussions about the payouts have taken place over the past few months among a group of dozens of private lawyers representing the families and government lawyers. Some government lawyers have viewed the payouts as excessive for people who had violated the law by crossing the border, the people said. One government lawyer threatened to remove his name from the case out of disagreement with the potential settlement offer, the people said. In another instance, a Department of Homeland Security attorney involved in the settlement talks complained on a conference call that the payouts could amount to more than some families of the 9/11 victims that the 9/11 victims received. One person said. Other people said senior departmental officials were in alignment on the amount and disputed the 9/11 comparison given by the U.S. government. Given that the U.S. government hadn't been responsible for the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack. We need to find out who these people are. But look, there's a silver lining in that. Because if you believe that the government harm to these people who illegally crossed the border merits $3.4 million per family, then you should equally agree that our harms that we have received generationally merits even more.
But these aren't U.S. citizens, right? These are people who just committed a crime by coming into this country illegally, which also means these are people who haven't contributed to this country in any type of way, right? We had to spend money to incarcerate them. We had to spend money to put them aluminum blankets on them. We had to spend money to get those facilities going for them. So the moment they crossed over, they started to receive benefits. Now, yes, it was a traumatic experience. But if what you're saying is that the U.S. government owes them more because this was perpetrated by the U.S. government and this should be expedited, then what does that mean to the freedmen? And this isn't the conversation that we have from the Democratic plantation in the mainstream media.
That's right. That's right.
Come on, brother.
I mean, look, I want to run through some things so we could get deeper into the conversation, right? So let's go to, let us go, we are one, okay. Yeah, let's start with AOC. Let's start with AOC. I know y'all like AOC. What are you bringing up AOC for? Because she says something that warrants our attention. And it shows you that we have no friends in the Democratic Party. We have no friends in the Republican Party. We are our own friends, and we got to get it together. We can't be running around with all of this silly stuff. And then y'all get mad at us because we're calling it silly. These people about to get 3.4 million, and we running around with Tesla logos for our screen avatars.
Remember, black people make a way for the Democrats to do what they want to do. Remember, it was Biden that said, black people have my back, I'm going to have your back. Without black people, he doesn't sniff the White House, right? He doesn't sniff the White House. So we made it possible. We made it possible. We like the Energizer Bunny. We just keep giving and giving and giving and giving. Nobody gives to us. When it comes to us, that's when you hear pull yourself up by your bootstrap. What does your favorite mulatto president say, right? A rising tide lift all boats. This isn't rising tide policy. This is specification right
That's
here.
right.
That $1 billion they give, that $6.8 billion they trying to give to Afghan refugees, that's specification, right? That money they gave to 1%er, the when those PPP loans start coming out and the bailouts start coming out, that was specification, right? But when it comes to us, right, the backbone, right? Some people say the heart of the Democratic Party. Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody gets there. The Native Americans, right?
That's right.
They got specificity during COVID, right? Everybody gets, even as they kicked Freedmen's out. They said, hey, you Freedmens can live on the reservations, but you can't go to our hospitals. You Negroes got to treat yourself or something, right?
That's right.
But everybody gets specificity. Why don't the people who are the quote unquote backbone of the party that come out every day and they connect this to the legacy and our people die for us to have the right to vote and we spill blood in Selma and everything else, once we get those elected officials in the office, why don't you get back to the backbone? You need your backbone to stand up, right? Because we really ain't the backbone. We just fools that's being, led by this false narrative, and they do it over and over and over every 4 years, right? We got people still saying Democratic down ballot. Don't attach me to anything Democratic. Anything Democratic. I'm 100% Freedman. I'm about to uplift the Freedman. Don't attach us to anything. Politics is vicious, and we playing vicious. Don't attack me to any party. I'm not attached to any party.
I gotta hit him with the grim, bro.
Shout out to our brother Grim, man. So let's play this AOC clip real quick, y'all. Let's play this AOC clip real quick. And I want to it's important. This is important to this conversation. All right, let's listen to what AOC has to say.
I don't want to draw false equivalence. What is happening here is not the same as what happened during the Trump administration.
So she's talking about the border, what's happening at the border, and a false equivalency dealing with slavery, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to give some context.
Where they took babies out of the arms of their mothers and deported their families and permanently traumatized these children, some of whom we don't know will ever be reunified with their family again.
Oh my God.
Level of human rights violation that is just simply not the same
Come on, man.
Both of these things are barbaric and they're wrong. But when you rip a baby out of the hands of a mother, you cannot draw the same comparison. And anyone who is trying to do that is doing a profound disservice.
Here it come, y'all. Here it come.
To the cause of justice. So I don't want to excuse any of this, but I don't think we should also get them twisted together, because one is not the same. And we cannot dust that under the rug. And by the way, those families are owed reparations.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What did she say? Like, so now they're going to get reparations. I'm going to, hold on. Let me show y'all what she said. We're going to talk about it. But I want to show y'all what she said when asked about our reparations. Hold
okay, because I was about to bring that up.
Okay, yeah.
Talking about the interview with Marco Mejia.
No, not that one. Not that one. Watch this one. Watch this babble. Watch this liberal babble this chick does. Watch this. All right, what did I do? Watch. Yo, these people don't care about us. AOC, none of them. And we got to spread the word, family. We got to, anybody talking some down ballot Democrat stuff, them people are not to be trusted. This ain't no diss. Y'all see what the Democrats are doing? Why you going, we'll talk about that. I'm pissed off, man. Come on, let's go.
Country that's still 70% white, which is a number that I think shocks a lot of people. But if you include white Hispanics, it actually is that big, who often vote similarly to non-Hispanic whites. You know, what as a political cost, let's say, of saying we're going to throw your hat in with a program like reparations, how much do you think those considerations should be made?
Well, you know, it's a good question. I think that one of the things that we've seen from early polling actually is that I think that we should distance ourselves and start getting away from this idea that we should only care about ourselves. Because when we really do start to assert and believe and understand and see how our destinies are tied, we kind of get away from this idea that
what a bullshit.
You know, people of color care about other people of color and only white people care about other white people and so on. There are a lot of systems that we have to dismantle, but also it does get into this interesting area of where we are as a country about identity, because like, what does it mean to be Black? Who is Black and who isn't, especially as our country becomes more biracial and multiracial. Same thing with being Latino, same thing. It brings up all these questions of like passing and, you know, things like that. But I do think it is important that we have to have substantive conversations about race beyond like what is racist and what is not. And if someone says something racist, does that make them racist? Like we need to get away from talking. Well, not that we have to get away from talking about racism. It's important that we talk about racism, but because we talk about racism so much, we actually aren't talking about race itself.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yo, what the? Yo, what kind of
No. She's saying we need to get away from Black issues. She just didn't want to say that specifically. She's anchoring everything. Yeah, she's saying like, because racism is when you hear racism, you think of like Blacks and whites, right? And the system that, you know, their white forefathers built that still perpetuate, you know, racism on the, you know, the majority of Black people. And what she's saying is, no, we need to get away from that old, you know, traditional thinking of racism. And we need to elevate into some other type of language, maybe xenophobia or something like that, right? Homophobia. We need other forms of terminology to describe the oppressions that's happening, not the Black people, but the other people, so we can lift their oppression up you know, above and beyond black people. Let's get away from those black issues. And it's important to know, because in these consecutive videos, she both talked about reparations, but in a different way, right? The first time was reparations for illegal immigrant Latinos, and she was all for that, right? She was at the vanguard of that. The second video was reparations for the Freedmen, and that one she just blurred the line. The first thing she did was intertwine Latinos in there. So basically, hey, if black people, if Freedmen is going to get reparations, what is a Freedman? What's a black person, right? Aren't we all black, right? Aren't we all people of color? Don't we all share melanin, right? That just kills that Pan-Africanist talk, right? But when it comes to Latinos getting reparations, notice she didn't anchor in Haitians at the border.
Nope, she did not.
No, it's just us. It's just us on there.
The Latinos.
You see how she said it? The Latino.
Yeah. She stole this little fake New Yorker accent on the word Latino. I think that's really funny. But yeah, man, brother, you're absolutely correct. And when she's talking about we need to get away from caring about ourselves, how dare you tell black people? Because that's really what she's doing. Stop caring about yourselves and care about other people besides yourself. What kind of crazy babble is that, man? That shit is bananas.
So I wanted to play that first because it shows how, you have this civil war within the Democratic Party, right? You have the Justice Democrats versus the corporate Democrats, the progressives versus those Nancy Pelosi types, to me, are really moderate centrists. They're about a few degrees away from Manchin and Sinema, in my opinion, right? Just a few degrees away. They just align with some issues that they were able to trick the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, into adopting and pushing, and they can't stray too far from those things because they got to keep black people in this endless loop. For those of you who watch The Matrix, the second Matrix, there's the scene where Neo wakes up. I think that's the second or the third one. I can't remember. He wakes up in this train station, and he tries to run on the train tracks to the next station over, but he's right back at the same train station. And it says only the train man or whatever his name was can get you from out of that station, right? And that's where, excuse me, the Freedmen are. We are at that train station, running in a loop. We keep running from station to station, not realizing that we're just running back to the same station. That station is the Democratic Party. And what's starting to happen is our people are moving away from the Democratic Party and going into the Republican Party, because the Republican Party, well, it has some traditional conservative family things. Let me be clear when I say conservative: mother, father, children, the traditional stuff that
not all that LGBT stuff
that the Democrats have to promote. These people only represent 2-3% of the population or something like that, and yet they have so much power. Dave Chappelle said it on his stand-up. He said, my problem was never with the LGBTQ community. My problem was with white men. And then the white men said, well, I'm a white woman now. What do you have to say? Now they control so much. They control everything, it seems like, that's not on the Republican aisle. And that's not us Freedmen. So I want to, you want to speak to that, Ali?
Nah, go ahead.
Okay, look, I want to play Biden, and we can, after we play Biden, we can, continue this conversation some more. Family, make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share this video out. Let people know that we're having a real live conversation, that we're not having it no more. Like, we have to step up and lead, and we're going to put out a call to action in a little while. So, and I'm going to read a message from my brother Logic. He might not be able to get on tonight. So just bear with us, family. Here we go. Remember, this is that debate. This is that debate with Biden. This is when the whole damn near everybody was still in it. Booty eggs. What was his name? Booty eggs. Oh, Buttigieg. He was said, you know, he agreed with reparations. It was soft and half-hearted, but you know, he agreed. But let's hear what Biden had to say.
And men what his
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, get a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. Wow. It makes us different.
Whoa.
Oh, come on, y'all.
Yo, man.
Come on, y'all.
Those was fighting words at the time.
What you gonna do?
Oh,
that's
man.
right.
Hold on, but understand this. They asked this question to several people on stage, right?
Go ahead,
reparations and the oppression and slavery of black people in this country is it's a touchy subject, right? It's a sensitive subject that many politicians just don't want to touch, right? Only somebody who's been in politics since Jim Crow, right, is bold enough and can speak authoritatively enough to throw up his middle finger and say, no, F y'all. Remember, like, Biden comes alive when it comes time to discipline black people, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, right?
His dementia goes away,
and then he gets in front of black so-called leaders and starts calling them boys. Or I did, like, come on, man. Like he's a bold, courageous devil. This is the person you said was the less of two evils, right? So and by no means am I promoting Trump, right? We don't do the less of two evils. Evil is evil, and evil is uncontrolled. You gotta clean that stuff out.
That's right.
But the point I'm trying to make is, how do you consider the lesser of two evils a man who praised Strom Thurmond, right? You know, an honorary KK. I believe he was a KKK member, right? We know an honorary KK member. Somebody who was Jim Crow.
Well, wait, hold on, brother. Remember, from out the bloody shirt, Strom Thurmond was groomed by Pitchfork Ben Tillman himself. Pitchfork Ben. He was groomed by him.
He was a Klan member, man.
He was a Klan member. He was a baby Klan. Go ahead.
Fact.
So we got the old videos of Biden, right, supporting crime and how he doesn't want his kids to be in an integrated school full of our kids with curly hair, even though we know, 2 out of the 3, Hunter Biden is a crackhead and his daughter sniffs coke, and Hunter Biden married the deceased Biden's daughter, or hooked up with the deceased daughter's, like it's just some hillbilly stuff, right? You wait till your brother die and then you go and have an affair with his widow. Be in a segregated school, right? Because he knows school is better, right?
It's breaking up, Ibrahim.
Idiots.
Yeah, it was breaking up a little something. Yeah, it's still breaking up.
You break it.
He must be in the rig or something.
Yeah, don't want to just mute him. I don't know if he's still talking.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll tell you this, man, that Joe Biden, what he was saying was, he basically said it was stupid. He said it was stupid for us to even be talking about reparations. That's really what he was saying. It's stupid and immoral. Those are the words that he used. Stupid
That's right.
and immoral. Come on, man.
Shout out to our BTP Mars in the building. Shout out to Sister Riri. Shout out to Brother Corey.
Peace, Corey.
Shout out to all the members that's in the chat. Shout out to Brother Devon from Brooklyn. I see you, bro. M Woods L is in the building.
Devon from Brooklyn, peace. Where Dre at?
Dre in the building. Brother Dre is in the building.
Peace,
So
Dre. You jumping on Dre?
we need to like really go in, man. And let me read this statement from my brother. No, let's save that. Let's save that. Matter of fact, let's save that.
Yeah, because we got to go into why he's even saying it.
Yeah, but I want to pull up something real quick. They talk about families being separated at the border, the children being taken from their parents. But this is an article from Time. Black families are outraged about family separation within the U.S. It's time to listen to them. I scroll real fast past that image because this sister is holding up some rainbow stuff that ain't got nothing to do with black people. Nothing at all. At all. So let me read a little bit of this. Outraged calls for racial justice have come to a new battleground, child welfare. And the reckoning on racism triggered by George Floyd's killing, decades of complaints from black families hurt by the child welfare system are bubbling over into the public protests. Though small compared to demonstrations against police abuses, these demands for justice are growing in the streets, the press, and social media. Around the country, communities that are targeted by child protective services are saying enough. The harms of the child welfare system are unconscionably and disproportionately imposed on families of color, particularly black families. They've been doing this for the longest. They've been separating us since slavery. They have no problem doing it to us today. And these family separation practices have demonstrably bad outcomes for the children. Remember, that article was talking about the trauma that these children would have faced through the months of, like, I ain't gonna get too deep into it, but one of my own children, my son, my middle son, we had a situation, and children's services was called, and the white woman that came, we were cordial. My son was going through some issues, acting out, showing out, or whatever. And this
in
chick,
school, right?
In school. This chick went back, and not only did she lie, she wrote up a false report. She lied about our interaction. She lied about it. I had to do battle to get my son back. These people couldn't pull nothing on me, nothing at all. When it was all over with, the caseworker came to me and the lawyer, the guardian ad litem. They shook my hand. The case manager, he was like, well, I've never been through this before, so I'm going to just shake your hand and say, hey, congratulations. I was able to write up stipulations about any future interactions should they happen. The judge tried to say, well, that this doesn't, I just looked at her because they knew that I had won. And from that point, I was so deflated from that experience that my own advocacy, I never followed through with it. I started a Facebook group and a whole nine, but I just never kept up with it. But now we can add that into the fight, because this is not just an anecdotal thing, though I share my personal story. I just read from an article. Pull it up, black families disproportionately separated by children's services. Pages of articles will come up, PDFs, studies. And y'all don't want to give reparations for that. These children grow up to be, we already are in disadvantaged positions. So usually we hit the streets. But you take a child that has been through that mental trauma, and then he or she goes into the streets. They lose all bearing of direction. They feel as if the parents weren't there for them. Like there's so many different psychological elements that go along with what they've done to us. And yet y'all heard what Biden said in response to a question about reparations for the freedmen, Black Americans. Those of us who had ancestors that were slaves in this country. He started talking about Hispanics, family, and that they are the future of this country, and that we need to invest in them, and that we should just get used to it. Come on, man.
That's what he said.
That's what he
said.
So CPS takes our children away and ushers them into a lifetime of institution, right? Which ends up becoming prison and homeless shelters. They families get put back together, and they get a bunch of resources to keep them apart and level them up so they can become stable middle class. That's basically it. And two statements come to mind, right? Biden's on the Senate floor where he was saying he don't give a damn how we got like this, but we need to get these people off the street. And then Hillary Clinton's statement about super predators, right? Because nobody cares about the origin of our suffering. At the time, it's just punishment, 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 punishment. But when it comes to everybody else, somehow these same devils got empathy, right? It's like the white officers who killed a Black child, but then they take the kitten out of the street. They give the domestic terrorists a burger, right? They got Rittenhauer's cases going on right now, and they saying like, you can't call people that he murdered victims, right? Everybody else seems to get empathy and the law works for them. But when it comes to us, nobody cares about the origins of your suffering, right?
That's a fact, bro. That's an actual fact, man. It's an excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah, I just got a message that just bothered me real quick. Hold on, OG Otis. That just bothered me. But y'all go ahead. Let me.
Yeah, to your point, bro, that you're absolutely right. I don't know how many conversations I've had, even with our own people, who wind up using so many of the racist Confederate talking points about just exactly what you were talking about. You know, they really take from the same playbook. You know, it's about punishment because there's a lot of crime going on in within Black communities, right, around this country. But nobody ever wants to talk about the origin story. No one wants to talk about the buildup or the succession of events that led up to why these things are even happening. Not only that, Brother Ibrahim, but remember, one of the things we always talk about is the disaggregation of Blackness. We don't ever really want to get into what kind of people are the ones who are committing these crimes. When did this uptick in crime even begin to occur? One of the things that I've been able to pull, right, and I think the family really needs to begin to research this, is the data from the Bureau of Prisons, where they talk about and they give you a timeline on who the largest prison population is in this country. And it's white people. It's always been white people, the largest, right? So now they're going to talk about, you know, in terms of percentage and the overrepresentation of Blacks within the prison system. I get that. But when it comes down to the raw data, the largest prison population are white people. At the same time, the uptick in Black incarceration occurs around the same time that the Immigration and Nationality Act changes in the 1960s. This is an actual fact. I pulled the damn PDF in the timeline to see exactly what's going on here. So again, this Black thing needs to be disaggregated, right? And we need to figure out who it is that's committing a lot of the crimes that we are seeing in these inner city areas, because a lot of the inner city areas are actually destination cities for Black immigrants, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, they've made Black Americans the face of crime and that's unfair. The same way they made Black American women the face of welfare, and that's completely unfair, and it's not accurate. So yeah, man, I agree with everything that you're saying. A lot of this stuff has really just been a perpetuation of white European racist lies against freedmen designed, from back in the time of the Reconstruction period, and people just continue with it, not really knowing, like you said, the origin of where all of this stuff is coming from.
So we always deal with racism as like a system, right? Not individual acts of racism, but systemic acts of racism, right? And one systemic act of racism is the criminal justice system, right? The criminal justice system. And it has the right to constitute what's a crime and what's not a crime, right? So in Oakland, you got more uninhabited homes on the market than you have homeless people living in tent city, whole families living in tent city, right?
Mm-hmm.
About 3 years ago, there was a group of mothers. There was about 4 mothers, and they basically squatted inside this house because they were homeless. They didn't have a place to stay. And for the time being, the judge, he gave them rights to the house while they, went through the bureaucratic red tape with the courts. But eventually they were evicted, right? And when they were evicted, even though it wasn't their house, they was just thrown out on the street, right? When you think about the mass evictions that's going on all over in America, right? In my city of Indianapolis, Indiana, we got about 1,000 evictions on the books right now, just in the last few months, right? These are not just like each eviction deals with a family, right? So 1,000 families getting evicted from their house, right? Such a traumatic experience from a child, right? Being a child, I've dealt with evictions from a child's perspective, right? So such a traumatic experience. So you got 1,000 families in Indianapolis, right? And in every Black locality over the country, you got these mass evictions going on. What would happen to us, right, if we sought out refuge in one of these abandoned homes in our community because we didn't have housing, right? We would be treated like criminals. We're talking about people who illegally came to the United States to seek refuge the illegal way. Every time we do something illegal, right, there's punishment. It's crime and then there's punishment. But for other groups, it doesn't work that way. And that's why I say when you get Black people starting to repeat these racial tropes about bootstrapism and meritocracy and how we just got to do for self and how you just got to be on your best behavior, what you see here is people getting rewarded for doing crime. They're not getting punished for doing crime. They are getting rewarded for doing crime. What type of message does this send to the other illegal immigrants that need some relief?
Bro,
what?
It started like even in New York, because just to add on to what you're saying, they started giving illegal aliens driver's licenses. And at the same time, you got Black men who are citizens of the United States. Black men who are citizens of the United States, whose driver's licenses are suspended due to failure to pay child support arrears. Right? Now, mind you, a lot of these illegal aliens are probably not even taking care of the several children that they have, yet they're being rewarded with driver's licenses, while the actual citizens are having their driver's licenses stripped from them, even though they need it to get back and forth to work.
That's right. Because of child support. Another systemic problem for our people that specifically targets Black people. But let's pull up what Ali is talking about, because I had that already ready to go. Let's pull it up. The immigrant driver's license. In 2019, the New York State Legislature passed the Green Light Bill, thanks to advocacy by tens of thousands of New Yorkers and organizations like the NYCLU. Green Light allows all New Yorkers the opportunity to earn a driver's license. if they pass all necessary driving tests, regardless of their immigration status. I remember when this news first broke. It says undocumented New Yorkers do not have to struggle to get to work, keep medical appointments, take children to school, or more simply because they cannot access driver's license. Family, how long are we going to keep getting the shaft?
And that's some Democratic bullshit right there.
That's right.
Come on, man.
They wouldn't have did that in Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia or Tennessee. We're not giving the Republicans no props in that sense because we don't ever want to confuse our disdain for what these Democrats are doing for giving the Republicans props. They are equally worse. They're equally worse in our opinion. Malcolm called the Republicans the wolves and the Democrats are the foxes. One to eat you with a growl and one to eat you with a smile.
This stuff has been happening layers. If y'all can recall, initially when President Trump ramped up his immigration policy, there was a $500 donation set aside for attorney fees for illegal immigrants. Then, as soon as President Biden got into office, the first thing he did was sign executive orders that would put those families back together and that would send some financial relief to pay for the attorney of the illegal immigrants that was trapped at the border, right? And now you're seeing the works that's been done because of that. After he signed that, he did a task force, right? You know who else was asking for a task force? We were asking for a task force. We said we didn't need HR 40. Why don't Biden just do us a task force? Well, he said, screw y'all. I got a task force for illegal immigrants at the border. So he gives them a task force.
That's right.
Now we are seeing the works that are coming from this, right? The attorneys got together, some attorneys from the ACLU and some attorneys from the government, and they've been going over these cases, and now they want to make it just one large class action lawsuit. And this is all because black people got their booties to the polls, get your souls to the polls. They got Biden in office, and he went right to work. But guess what? We already said this was going to happen from the very beginning. Biden told you this was going to happen from the very beginning. Laura Abbott just played you a video of Biden on the election stage when he wasn't even in the lead. He was losing. He was sleeping at the debates. He only woke up to talk strong to black people. It's like whack-a-mole. It's like soon as black people reared their political head up out of the hole, Biden came alive and get back down there. I'm not giving you nothing. This ain't about you. It's about everybody else but you. You know? And Strom Thurmond is smiling from his grave, right? He got a lifelong partner. White supremacy survived and is doing just fine in America. Right. It comes in different shades. It even comes in black too. We have so many people. Roland Martin. What they say, Ice Cube don't know enough. We're not having a meeting with Ice Cube. People talking about not voting. Why would you not vote? People talking about down voting. These people are bots. These people is this. Professor Crunk in the feminist movement, right? It comes in black too. Y'all got to be fed up. Like when is enough enough?
I don't know, but you know the crazy thing is, the stock of people that we come from are the people who dealt with political, party realignment. They didn't get stuck in any particular party. They switched parties, man. If they felt they needed to, they did it. And I'm not saying that we need to be switching into no Republican Party. I'm just saying that that's the stock that we came from. When they seen that there was a problem that they felt like they couldn't fix, guess what they did? They exited. That's the stock of people we came from. I don't know what's going on right now and why it is that people feel we can't do anything but stay put. But something has to change. If something has to change, if that means we got to create another organ to work through, then that's what that means. But we can't stay in this thing the way that we are. We're gonna have to issue some threats or something. We got to do something. We got to do something because this ain't it.
This is, hey, let me go back to my spirit animal. For those of you who've seen the series Them, this is my spirit animal right here. What you're gonna do. I feel like this dude every single day. I'm just a little more bolder.
Man, for those of y'all that haven't seen the series Them, you need to
on
watch it.
Amazon Prime, y'all. Go watch that series.
And people said it's black trauma porn.
Yeah,
F all of that.
That's
the
right.
fact, look at that series to its entirety. It's actually based on a real life family of a black family that moved into Levittown, Pennsylvania. They actually based that movie or that series on that family. I'm not saying every single thing was to the letter, but it was based on the family, etc.
So let me pull up one more thing before we get up out. I mean, not get up out of here. Before we switch to this Democratic Democratic down ballot nonsense.
Down ballot strategy.
Okay. So this was September 13th, 2019. September 13th, y'all, 2019. This is after, if I'm not mistaken, after Clyburn, the Negro sock puppet, delivered Biden, South Carolina. And we gonna get strong in South Carolina, family. You best believe that. We're gonna get really, really strong in South Carolina. I'm plotting some moves now. So just, we ain't gonna put none of that stuff out on air, but this is from the insider. Joe Biden responded to a debate question about slavery and reparations by going off on a tangent about how black parents should raise their kids, and people aren't happy about it. And they still voted for this guy because they said, well, he's better than Trump, though, y'all. It says
that clown down there, that clown in South Carolina egged that on, too.
That's right. That's right. At the third Democratic debate in Houston, former Vice President Joe Biden answered a question about the legacy of slavery with the tangent on black parents needing outside intervention to properly raise their children. That's that Strom Thurmond. That's that Strom Thurmond babble right there. That's that old segregationist Confederate talk right there. That's that paternalism. The Negroes can't do nothing without us talk right there. Quote, we bring social workers into homes, social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know what to do, Biden said.
Right, because you know why? Because they're young white chicks that don't have no kids and they ain't even married.
That's right.
Wasn't social workers sent in the home by the federal government to make sure black men had left the home initially?
That's right. When they started the welfare program in the 60s, I believe it was.
So they replaced black men with the same social workers who ran the black men out the house.
That's right. That's right.
Now your new dad is a white mom.
That's right. That's right. Probably ain't got no children of her own at all. It says in his answer, Biden also said that parents should leave their record players and radios on at home so children would learn more words, prompting lots of confusion. When is the last time did you listen to the hip hop on the radio, Biden? Are you saying that they should listen to the stations that you listen to that play Christian music and classical music? Because the hip hop that they playing on the radio now is horrendous. But it is the result of that trauma that has been ongoing for generations, not a few months, like the children at the border had to experience, and their families are about to get $3.4 million apiece for. No, we gotta fight, fam. It's time for us to fight.
What type of radio do you think the privileged Biden kids listen to?
That's right.
Because they grew up to be crackheads.
Juanita Murray said, look how well Biden's kids turned out.
Exactly.
Hey, Fidel 2.0.
What was the statement Biden made about integration of the schools will lead to jungles? He didn't want his kids having to go to school in a racial jungle.
Yep. Yep. So I just want to address somebody. Fidel 2.0. This is the wrong chat. You're looking for the chat where they talk that indigenous nonsense and other forms of who knows what's going on. Hebrew Israelite stuff you put in Revelations chapter 13 and 20 saying that'll open our eyes. No, our eyes are already open to the actions of the United States government. We could get into some of that as well, but we're not. What did he say? We're indigenous to the Americas. The adversary, no, we're not indigenous to the Americas.
But what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
It has nothing to do. You're in the wrong chat, brother. You got to go find Ishmael Bey and legendary Top Cat, Cap, and Taj Tariq Bey and them. Because this ain't the
definitely not indigenous to the policy that's coming from the federal government.
That's right.
The law over the land in the country.
That's right.
So whether you believe it or not, it has this effect on you. So.
All right. So let's get into Democratic down ballot. I'm gonna read the statement by my brother Logic, and then we're gonna get into the idiocy of this strategy. So brother Logic said the president is the national leader of the party. How can you say you don't support the president, but support everyone in his organization?
Who supports him?
That's right. Who supports him? How can you not support the leader or support his henchmen and comrades? If he's the enemy, so are those who are in league with him and his agenda. People accountability over party accountability. That's a statement from our brother Logic, who couldn't make it on tonight. That leads us into this idea that this one brother said on another channel, talking about we have to reevaluate the Democratic down ballot strategy. Now, I would have respected him if he would have said it's time for us to ditch the Democratic down ballot strategy. Because if you didn't vote for Biden and you went to the poll, I didn't vote for Biden. Or
neither
Trump.
did I.
Didn't vote for any of them. I
didn't vote for either of them either.
Empty. I voted for Sister Tamara Johnson Shirley in her run against Warnock. I voted for the local measures that was happening in my city, and I voted for some of the locals that I know personally out here. Why would I vote for? And remember, okay, brother Logic is backstage. Perfect. Let me finish this. Why would I vote for Ossoff and Warnock? Remember, brother Logic and I were on the phone with people from the ATL hashtag group. It was a Zoom call. And they said they wasn't supporting Sister Tamara. They were supporting Warnock. They wanted to get Warnock to the table. Warnock hasn't done a goddamn thing since he's been in office. Barely speaks, barely puts out statements. He or Ossoff. Not a thing. They don't care about our issues. So what in the world sense did voting Democratic down ballot make? And you can't say even if it's the dog catcher, because the dog catcher doesn't set policy at the state or the federal level. What are these people talking about, family?
They waived the $2,000 stimulus checks in front of people who were starving, unemployed, and destitute. As soon as these people got into office, they pivoted and said, we didn't say $2,000. Even though people replayed the video and them saying $2,000. That was the beginning of the Democratic takeover.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So.
Yeah. That's a good point, Ibrahim. And good job, brothers. and this is a definitely a time where people have to start getting serious about their political destinies and futures and the political survival in this country. And when it's definitely time for a political consequence. But I want the freedmen to think about their consequence, right? Understand the education that what we're giving you right now. Understanding the federalist aspects of our government. How can we multiply our force, right? Sure, we can all go to Washington and we can fucking lay on the steps for a whole goddamn month. You understand? But that does not give the impact that we need, because this is the consequence of a Democratic down ballot strategy. What does that mean? You say, okay, fuck the leader at the top, right? But we're going to support everybody that supports him. So instead, we still secure this man's power, right? Because he's the leader of the Democratic, he's the national leader. The president is the national leader of the party, whichever party that may be. You understand? And you played a significant role in installing all of his supporters and henchmen and criminal comrades into power. What kind of sense does that make? You understand? You're not thinking well when you do some shit like that. We say, how do you not mess with the leader, but we're going to support everybody in the crew? That doesn't make any sense. That's like
right.
saying we don't like Osama bin Laden, but we fuck with the Taliban. You understand? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. That's how stupid a Democratic down ballot strategy is. We got to be policy down ballot. You understand?
Wait a minute. Did you just say that's like saying we don't support Osama bin Laden, but we rocking with the Taliban?
Yes. That's what
exactly
I said.
What it is.
You know what I mean?
Exactly,
because you have a lot of fire ready aim political strategies going out there instead of ready aim fire. You need to spend a little bit of time at the ready. You haven't even identified a target yet, right? So you're firing, aiming, then getting ready when you need to get ready first, then aim, get locked in on that target, and then fire. See, now let's go back to this whole let's everybody go to Washington every time we want to have a goddamn cookout or some shit like that. We have to be more politically focused and organized in that. In a federalist government, we've been giving you this education for well over a year now. Now, what would be more impactful and serve to be as a force multiplier and say, you know what, we're going to take a play out of the old Confederate book, right? Because they successful at they politics. I don't know nobody as successful as the Confederates, to be honest, right? And so we're going to take a play out of the old Confederate book. And because we don't like that the Democrats are even talking about giving $500 million to illegal aliens in this country, we're going to organize marches on every state capital that we can in the country. Now, that is showing some political power. Sure, you can get as many people as you want to at Washington, but let's say you divided that force, right? Spread them across the country, and you got you're in Atlanta marching, right? You're in Virginia marching, right? You're in California, Illinois, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. All over the country, you're having marches. I don't care if you can't get nothing but 25 people there. That's a powerful statement when you are having political action coordinated simultaneously on the same day or consecutive days, depending upon the coordination in the planning. That's how you get things done. You understand? Now that can't help but to make national news. That can't help but to get coverage in the local and state media machines. They can't help it because it's coordinated and it's organized and it's spread throughout the country. In every state, they had a march on this date on their capital. We got to be politically mature and be about the business of being politically effective, using states' rights and radical federalism. Everything we have to do that we need to do needs to be looked at through a tactics and strategies of radical federalism. So if we all go meet at Washington, we're just here at the state capitol. You understand? But radical federalism, you understand, will have you have meetings and organizations and political events all coordinated strategically all over the country. You understand? That's how we got to be thinking. That's how we got to move. And that's how we're going to be successful, right? Understand this, family. Down ballot Democrat is a recipe for destruction.
That's
Anybody that supports the Democrats in this day and hour, I don't care who they are. And when I say that, that don't mean you can't support somebody who is a Democrat, but you never should support them because they are a Democrat.
That's
and you
right.
never should have in the forefront of your thinking that I'm supporting Democrats at all. If you happen to know Brother Ibrahim and he's running for office and he just so happened to be a Democrat, but you vetted him and his program and platform checked out and he was good to go and you supporting his policies because his agenda prioritizes you, that's what we're looking at. I don't give a damn what party he's in. He could be a Martian. He could be from the Green Party, the Tea Party. I don't care. If his program is beneficial for me and mine and it prioritizes the Freedman community, that's what I support. We have to have a Freedman independent political ideology because we have
Freedman
to be,
first.
we have to dissolve the toxic political bands that have tied us to these parties. Historically, they've always reap the least amount of fruit for us. You understand? It's not about being about the party, it's about being about the agenda. And if that agenda drives the national interest, the parties are going to coalesce around it because they have to. And this all goes back to that repatriation to the Southern state strategy to get the real power and the real act of radical federalism. So now we can have a senator like Mnuchin somewhere who in a state that only got not even 2 million people causing all kind of hell in the Senate.
So let me ask you a question, Logic. Are you saying just like white women put on pussy hats and went and marched all over the country, we should throw our Freedman gear on and be at our state capitals all over the country?
Well, I'll be damned. Somebody bright on this goddamn stage tonight. I tell you, man, we got some thinkers on here tonight. And you see how plain how easy these examples are to
That's
pick out?
how you do it.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, brother. Just like those individuals during the height of the COVID situation, they got their guns and they got their friends, and some of them even got their barbecue grill pits, right? And because the government establishment told them to shelter in place, they marched on capitals in almost every state in the country.
That's
right? Illinois, they was in Springfield at the Capitol. They was in Michigan at the Capitol. They was all over the place marching because the establishment told them that they had to stay inside. You understand? And so we are looking at a dismal situation and how the government continues to rob us of our birthrights, right? While they hand it over and deliver it to illegal aliens and people that they've imported in here so that they can expedite their transition into whiteness to further oppress and suppress us, right? We sit back and be like, damn, what we gonna do? Man, that's crazy. Let's vote down ballot Democrat. That's the best you can come up with. What kind of nut ass shit is that? You understand? And then we got all these good examples. In the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense showed you how to do it. They showed you how to organize. They showed you how to be militant. They showed you how to run for office. You understand? They showed you how to do these things. These examples are there. The Freedmen of old showed you how to do it when you had concentrated popular democratic power. We have to, if you want to win, get on the winning strategy, right? You got a lot of people who they'll sacrifice the victory for a little attention and say, I want to be the star player on the 76ers. I want to be Allen Iverson so I can put up buckets and I can get the highlight reels, but I'm never going to win the championship. You understand? Like, fuck that. We need the championship. You understand? We need Freedmen role players. Everybody can't be Michael Jordan in this space, but we need Steve Kerrs. You understand? We need Tony Kukocs. We need all of the Scottie Pippens,
Dennis Rodmans, and
the Dennis Rodmans, and the we need all of that in this space because that's important to the overall concept of execution of this Freedman plight. We have to get on board, family. Get out of your feelings and get into your politics. You understand? Your Freedman politics. We ain't got time to play. You see what they doing. They're selling our birthrights to anybody they can get and importing anybody they can get their hands on. They imported the people
into whiteness.
Right into whiteness. Who's next to be white in America? They got the Afghan whites.
These are the old whites looking out for the new whites. Thank you, black folks, for getting the Democrats in executive branch, being the majority in the Senate and the majority in the House. Now the old whites can look out for the new whites, right? The new whites got a tan skin, like some of the new whites gonna be yellow with slanted eyes. Some of the new whites jumped on the plane from Afghanistan, and some of the new whites came across the border as criminals and will be made stable citizens. I mean, just think if the median household wealth in America for whites, just for all Americans, is around $100,000, right? When you don't disaggregate the data, what does $1 million a family do? Like, just think where they are inserting these people into the American economy at. They bringing these people into the American economy as upper. These is going to be your new bosses. These are going to be your new entrepreneurs, right? Like we don't even think about the repercussions of this, right? And then it opens up the floodgates for more to come. Why would I not run over here to America? Cuzzo just got $1 million for him and his whole family. Pack y'all bags, we headed to America.
Facts. So somebody's talking about feelings. The only feelings we need to be getting into right now is what you're gonna do. What you're gonna do. Like, this is a call to action, family. It's time for us to organize. It is time for us to organize. Let's let these people know that we are not playing. All over this country, we need to start establishing. I'll start right here in Georgia. I'm not too far from the state capital at all. So if anybody's in Georgia that's listening, hit me up. Hit me up and let's plan something. Let's go. And
About feeling.
Let's link up. Wait, hold on, bro. Let's link up. Link up. Hit us up. Hit us up. So we can plan this thing right.
Because we already got something planned, you understand? But as we always do, we want to incorporate all of the good brothers and sisters who are down for the cause. But the plan is already ready. And if you want to be a part of the spearhead of this initiative, we are open and willing to accept any support who wants to be supportive. So if you want to be a part of this action, get in contact with the brothers. You understand? Get in contact with Naheem. Get in contact with any of us that you may have contact with. And then you will find out the detailed tactics and plans that we have for political action, because we can only go over generalizations of programs, projects, tactics, and procedures on YouTube, right? It's not on the part of wisdom to get into details of your tactics and strategies live on air. So if you're serious about political action and execution, we'll know, because you'll get in contact with us.
That's right. It's time for a Freedman caucus and eventually our own Freedman party, family. And a lot of that comes by us taking a state. We have to implement the back home strategy, aka Operation Closed Fist. It has to be implemented. It has to be. We got to let these people know y'all will never ignore us again. Y'all know my motto: don't vote blue in 2022.
Don't vote blue no matter who. I don't care
vote
who
blue
it is.
no matter who. Don't vote red either. Don't
vote. If you
Unless,
vote red, you're dead. And don't vote blue no matter who.
We're gonna be the purple party. Straight like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be the purple party. It's time, family. It's time. We have good political leadership at the grassroots that are not. They got Roland Martin, right? He got this big platform. He brings in millions of dollars a year. We have BETHEPOWER. You have other platforms that are set up pretending to be about reparations. They talk reparations to get their foot in the door and to highlight our issues, but the only thing they're really doing is getting paid by thousands and thousands of people. And that's it, to keep content going based on their political commentary. And there's no action behind that. This is a real call to action right here. And like I said, and like Brother Logic said, we're not going to talk about it on YouTube, obviously, but get up with us, family. Let's build. Y'all know the website is usadof.org. Y'all can send us an email there. Y'all can send us an email at btplivecast@gmail.com. Also, Freedman@usadof.org. I'm going to put that last one in the chat.
Yo, check this out, right? Good comment Well, I don't know how good it is, but I want to read it anyhow because it's going to bring up a good reply that I got. It says, I do respect that there are Democrats who want to get their party right. If they don't want to get the Freedmen right, fuck them. I don't care about the party being right. The Democratic Party ain't shit to me if they don't want to get the Freedmen community right, and they don't want to get reparations right, and they don't want to get the debt that's owed to the original Americans and the true citizens of our Freedmen community. I don't care if they want to get the party right. That's the wrong goddamn focus. You see, that's too many of their problem right now. We want to get the party right, right? Damn the party, get the Freedmen right. Let's fix America. Let's get the South right. Let's get Mississippi right. You understand? Let's get criminal justice right. Let's get economic security right. Let's get social justice and social reform right. Let's get the education system right. See, their problem is they want to be juiced up in the party. So getting the party right to them means making deals with criminals, you understand? Because that's what you are. Anytime you're lobbying or you're advocating and actively trying to give away America's money to illegal aliens in this country, when you owe America's earliest citizens and foundational members the greatest debt that America has ever accumulated, then you're ignoring that gross negligence to that crime, and then you're going to commit another crime. You talking about you got to get the party right. So how are you going to get the party right? Let me know. Are you going to be like John Brown when he had to get the radical Republicans right? How are you going to get them right? Let me know. If you're going to get them right, you need that's going to be a fight.
That's a broad statement. Like, what politicians is trying to get the party right, right? We know what AOC ideology of getting the party right is. We see what Biden's ideology of getting the party right is. Who's trying to get the party right for the Freedmen? Like, that's such a broad statement. What does that even mean? People trying to get the party right. There's not a radical voice on behalf of Freedmen. There's not even a radical voice on behalf of Black people in the party, let alone talking about freedom. Like, what does that ideology even mean? The executive branch trying to get the party right means bringing in as many legal immigrants as possible so they can get more votes and they can continue to do nothing, especially for us. We're not about, Black Lives Matter once approached Hillary Clinton, and she had told them, it's not about hearts and minds and feelings, it's about policy. Who has the policy for us? Who's pushing for policy for us? Democratic down ballot to me is about hearts and minds and feelings, right? Because you don't want to say what you really want to say, right? When you vote against somebody, you vote for the other party, right? And I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm just saying if you had some balls, you would get out there and you would say it doesn't even matter what the Democratic Party feels about me because they already showed me how they feel about me. They gave me a big F you from the very beginning to the end. So I'm going to vote against you just to get you out. But you scared. You in your feelings. The Democratic Party might ostracize me. People on the internet might say, we really right-wing. You care what people think about you. You care what people say. So you're going to anchor yourself on to a party that already gave you the middle finger. The only time they show up is when it's time to vote. They put a little get the vote out money, right? And everybody gets on the same page that we need to vote because our ancestors struggled and died for the right for us to vote. And you're going to anchor your strategy to the same pitch. Your strategies that just failed a year ago. And now you want to do the same thing over and over and over. Any strategy that begins on election day is a dead strategy. That strategy is DOA. You can't have a strategy
dead on arrival.
That fans out. It's dead. You need a strategy that's going to be implemented 365.
That ain't a strategy.
It's really not a strategy.
Bro, that shit ain't even a strategy, man.
It's definitely not what it and if it is a strategy, this is the kind of strategy it is. It's a strategy to look radical for the people, the grassroots, while you still play nice and cozy up to party power and party leadership, right? Like, look, we gotta look radical for our group, for our base. So we gotta say something that seems bold to them, but it's not gonna really be reap any political consequence for the party. Because check it out, this is what we're gonna have them do. We just gonna have them support everybody that fuck with you, right? And so, like, who is President Biden if he doesn't have a Democratic House or a Democratic Senate or Democrat governors in the states, right? In General Assembly, Democrat General Assembly members who support his agenda throughout the state. So who is he without his people? Who is he without the party, right? So to strike a blow to Biden, you have to strike a blow to the entire party, because that is his base at this point. He's the leader of the Democrats, you understand? And so if you really wanted to say, you know what, we want tangibles and we serious about this shit, you'll say, don't vote blue no matter who. We policy focused, not party focused, you understand?
That's
and so
right.
down ballot Democrats suggest that you can't vote for any policy that may do right if it's on the right. But if it's a Democrat that got the hint of a policy that suggests some type of anything for you, vote for them. But don't even look at nothing else. So if you wanted to be bold, like Ibrahim said, you'll just say vote down ballot. Don't vote for the president. Just look at the bottom of the ticket and vote for whatever is right for your area on the bottom of the ticket. But why add Democrat to it? What does that do? That gives you the positionality to cozy up to the Democrat Party and say, look, we're going to look radical while we are in the public chastising the executive office, but it's still going to have a positive effect because we're going to make sure y'all secure gubernatorial elections and congressional and senatorial elections and shit like that, because our people, they not that bright anyway. This is what the people who promote these type of strategies think about their base. They're like, our base ain't politically mature enough or astute enough to understand that we just giving them the overlay for the underplay, and like this is disrespectful. This is an insult on your intelligence when they tell you that, because if we don't mess with the leader of the party, that's like saying I'm a Bulls fan but I don't like Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. They garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to go on a campaign slaying Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson and say you a Bulls fan? We just gonna support all the other Bulls. Like, that don't make no goddamn sense. You understand?
Well, it do make sense if you got political aspirations on the left. And
if you want to be Michael
out
Jordan,
because you want to get that invite. Everybody don't get that invite. You want that invite to the White House. You want that invite to be the next Angela Rod. These people got political aspirations, right? I don't care about your experience as an attorney. I don't care if you had Capitol Hill experience as a secretary who went to Starbucks every day. I don't care, right? So don't get on the internet beating your chest when we seen you take a case that was already past the statute of limitations and got a man's mama house taken in LA. You know how much that's worth to have a home in LA that you've been living in for the last 30 years, and you get this man's mother's house taken. So don't get on the internet beating your chest about your experience. What you should have been doing is doing better research on the cases you took.
That's right.
And
hold on.
Go ahead. I want to pull a question up.
Don't start beating your chest about your comrade that they went to this HBCU when they really got a throwaway degree. Everybody that knows anything knows that bachelor's in political science is a throwaway degree, right? Because it doesn't yield. It's like if you look up worse degrees to get, a bachelor's in political science and say, yeah, here I am right here. Don't get me, right? I can't get you shit unless you do some other things that go along with that, right? And then don't beat your chest and say, I take my advice from somebody who was on Capitol Hill. Well, what were you at? There's a lot of people on Capitol Hill. There's people on Capitol Hill cleaning toilets. There's people on Capitol Hill mopping floors. So if I just was in the proximity, I can take my marching orders from anybody that was on Capitol Hill. Because who are you taking your marching orders from? Somebody who was an aide and wasn't juiced up enough for anybody else to pick them up after their legislator didn't get reelected. You understand? They didn't get picked up. They didn't turn anybody's chief of staff. You were the lowest member on the staff, lowest staffer on the schedule, right? And then you come out of, so this is what I pay attention to. Okay, what did you learn all that time when you was on Capitol?
I don't believe you, Logic. This person told us she was a political savant at the age of 6, watching political shows instead of cartoons.
Check this out, right? Well, that's
like
political
Kim Jong-il saying he was eating cheeseburgers at 2 years old.
That savant, that political savant came from Capitol Hill saying reparations to them looks a lot like what
Like
Bernie
what
Bernie
Bernie
Sanders is
Sanders said. That's
proposing.
right.
Come on, brother.
A lot of
Come on,
shit for a lot of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
right.
if that's what you talking about when you come off of Capitol Hill, I ain't got nothing to talk to your ass about. You know what I'm saying? You can't be the one, you can't be the Moses leading us to the promised land
That's
when you
right.
didn't even know what the hell you was talking about when you was in the closest proximity to power you ever been in your
That's
life.
right.
Now all of a sudden you're supposed to be elevated above everybody else who basically getting information the same way you got it. You know what I'm saying? Right? You bumped into some people who had some good concepts and you mixed it with your shit. That's what everybody's fucking doing. You don't need a bachelor's degree in political science to do that. You know what I'm saying? So like we have to understand that the missions are driven by the people, by the grassroots. And if you're not connected to the grassroots, because everybody's always advocating for the people at the bottom, but they don't ever want to elevate nobody at the bottom. They always want to have their little cliquey bourgeoisie bullshit groups everywhere in the country doing all kind of goofy shit. But you're always using the people in the ghettos and the hoods and the projects. That's what your narrative is. That's what you use. That's your story you tell. That's your anecdote. But you're talking about the people on this panel's lives, right? So if you really cared about the projects and the people that come from the ghetto have to live through crack vows and gang wars and shit like that and live in the ghettos that redlining created, you would elevate one of them people, especially when you see that, damn, they got the message, they understand the concept, they got the power. You say, well, these people have to be qualified to lead because they're most connected to the plight, right? They're rooted in what we're talking about when we say the struggle, the Freedman struggle, right? And so I don't have to have a degree from Howard to know how to articulate the pain and the disastrous circumstances that are inherited to people who were connected to this Freedman status and who had to be forced through and be born by parents who were forced out of the South and forced away from power through the Great Migration. I don't have to go get a formal education on that, right? And I don't have to have a master's degree. But what I do need to do is educate myself on how to organize, how to build relationships, because if you can't build relationships, how useful are you? A leader is one who can build.
I want to get to this question.
Go ahead, because I'm gonna go all.
I want Ali to address it first, though. How much of this do you think is due to Black folks' political apathy?
Of what? How much do you think of what?
Just the whole Democratic, this whole thing being tied. I'm assuming that she means this whole being tied down or bogged down to the Democratic Party.
Political apathy. That's a good question.
Go ahead, Ibrahim. It is a good question. Go ahead.
Yeah. I would just first say, like logic hit on if you're not rooted in, like if you're not angry, you don't turn Capitol Hill out.
You're breaking up, Ibrahim.
Right? So you come
you're breaking up, bro.
And I'll just come back.
Yeah, Ali, if you wanted to.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I would just say if you're not anchored in that Freedman education, then you go to Capitol Hill and you don't turn Capitol Hill out. Capitol Hill turns you out, and you come back with that class-based ideology. As far as how much of this is rooted in our political apathy, I kind of think that's a scapegoat, because our political apathy didn't come overnight. It came after decades and decades and decades of failed policies and failed promises, and so, the easy thing to do is just to ride the wave, right? And then the hardest thing to do is just, start building from where the people is at, right? So I do think it's kind of rooted in our political apathy, but at the same time, it's the easy way out for somebody who's trying to be a leader, because you want to get behind the big push and the wind of the Democrats. So you want to have that like quick rise to the top. It's just like Black people who anchor themselves over to the right and start spouting right-wing ideology, right? They know they can build a like big base, right? It doesn't matter who the base is, but they know they can like build a big base. So I think you want to attach yourself to a party when you want to get quick fix scheme that works for you, but it looks like you grassroots and you doing something.
Right. I would agree with that. And just going back to something I touched on earlier about the stock of people that we come from in terms of party realignment, that just goes to show you that our people were interested in politics, right, for a long time, but we keep getting beat, right, and a lot of the times the things that we achieve gets taken away or gets watered down, whether it's the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s or what have you. It's like our people don't get the opportunity to benefit from a lot of the hard work that people put in. So yeah, I think it can, like Ibrahim said, it is a buildup of over time. There is some apathy there, but it is something that took place over time, and I don't know. I think that, like, when Naheem reads from the Bloody Shirt or talking about we've excelled 100 years in 1 year, it
That was
really just
from
goes to that was
Baradaran's
no
book.
Mercer Baradaran's book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you read something like that, it shows you the enthusiasm that people actually had about engaging and doing their civic duties in this country, man. But it's just so much opposition. There's always so many things put in place, whether that's the theft of land. You it's like two steps forward. You know what I'm saying? It's always that kind of thing, and so it's tough, man. I don't know how much of it is apathy, but I would definitely say there's apathy there at this point because people are getting tired of doing the same thing and not really achieving the results that they're looking for.
Can I let me speak to the apathy as well, right? And I've spoken about this before, but I'm going to reiterate it, right? The way to mitigate apathy is social capital. How do you build social capital with your community and keep them engaged in the political fight, right? We have to be about the business of social programs. And a lot of people, they love the Black Panthers and they talk about the Black Panthers all the time, but all they want to talk about is the militant presence that they had in the guns, which I love them too. But what made the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense so important and so tied into the community was because of the way they met the community's needs. You understand? It was the social programs. It was the free breakfast club. I mean, the free breakfast programs and the women, infant, and children's program. It was the community security programs and all those things that they did in real life with real people. You understand? So now when you get tied into your people and you're good at many of y'all are very good at organizing, and I've seen your ability to generate dollars and generate money and have good ideas. And if you center that around building up a base, see, too many people want to build their base up on Twitter and build their base up on social media, and they don't have a base at home. And that's why they can't get anything done in their backyard, but they want to get something done at the White House. If you want to do real politics, you have to have built a base at home. I can't stress how important that is, because now you're a mover and a shaker in American politics. You have to build that groundswell at home. And what's the best way to do that with our people who have a condition like we have? You have to figure out how to create some social programs and some youth outreach programs, right? People say you don't know how to connect to the youth. The best way to connect to the youth is youth outreach programs. If they like to play games, create a center where you can get games and you can get PlayStations and Xbox put in there, and you just bring them in there and they can play games with you. But you got counselors and mentors and people right there that's giving them some of the right feedback and some of the right education there. See, you're not using your political imaginations. You see it. Too many people want to be political celebrities, right? And not really, social justice warriors for their people and their plight. And you have to get back to home. Home is where the heart is, and home is where your power is. Build political groundswells and bases and winning coalitions at home. All politics is local.
Indeed. Brother Josh, jump on their head at the last minute.
There you go. There you go. That's Josh.
Yeah, man. You know how it be. Now I don't have a whole lot to add, man. At this point, y'all done covered a lot of the stuff. We talk about this stuff, we talked about it immediately. We've been talking about it through the course of the day. And
when you came on, you got me charged up earlier when you said, "What you gonna do?"
Oh, what you gonna do?
Hey, that got me charged up. Like I said, if y'all didn't see that series, them and this character right here, man, y'all need to see that. Yeah, go ahead, brother Josh.
Yeah, man, because it's like, I mean, my first thought, and we talked about it. I mean, like y'all just hit on it. Is like, what are you gonna do? At what point are we? Yeah, we can be angry, we can be pissed off, we can feel like betrayed, we can feel disrespected, but none of that has anything to do with us increasing our power. That doesn't have anything to do with increasing power. That's just like venting frustrations. And like, so what are you going to do? You're going to do like a glorified protest, which is, you know, some changing how you vote. No, I'll tell you how to change how you vote. You put more numbers in a place where you can centralize power. I said it on the last program. How you gonna slap box Mike Tyson in the ring? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to think that you're gonna be able to win like that? No, you gotta close your fists. You can't just be slapping and, you know, wrists all, you know, wimpy looking and flailing. Close your fists. So if we got fingers in Chicago, fingers in LA, or fingers in, you know, the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, Boston, and Philly, and all these places, you got some other folks in all over the place, right? No, our power is in the South. That's our majority of our people still in the South. We need to bring those people back home, so we can ball that fist up. Then we can hit some blows. Then that's when you actually can have some power. Because like, if you, and then go back to that, it's another book that we read. I'm sure a lot of y'all read it too. It's called by Ira Katz Nelson, I believe, When Affirmative Action Was White. He chronicled in that book, like, essentially how they were able to lock in, keeping us out of that affirmative action for all of them years, was via having the power consolidated and like crystallized for generations in the Southern, with the Southern Democrats. You know, they were not like split. You know, like, let's say today you look at the Democratic Party, you got progressive Democrats, you got moderates, you got center right, center left, you got all these different factions, right? Quote unquote progressive. I gotta throw that in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because if you ain't a reparationist, if you just kind of think that we just need to fold in with everybody else and we not old, I can't call you progressive, because you're not about justice. Don't call yourself Justice Democrats. You're just them Democrats. So like how there's all these different factions, right? Well, the Southern Democrats, they were all in solidarity on one thing: Freedmen last. Freedmen last. And matter of fact, we want you to be underneath the ground. We want to take you not even last. You off the board. You're not like, you don't even get any food. That's what they were in solidarity about. We're gonna like maintain white supremacy. We're gonna make it like the South, like the Confederacy won the war down here. And that's what they were in solidarity about. And they were able to have like the longest, you know, maintaining of offices in those southern states. So you will have the highest, longest standing, most senior members of Congress, the longest standing members of Congress at the top of all these committees and all this kind of stuff. And they just were able to block anything that Congress was trying to do if it did not maintain segregation, if it did not maintain, you know, us being left out. So now, once we get the power, what do you think that can look like as far as what we can do? Once, because guess what? They already say that we're the voting bloc. We're the bloc.
Segue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's segue, Josh, to Manchin. Brother Ibrahim shared this with us earlier. Manchin says he offered to change political parties if he was a problem for Dems. It says Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, that D is just symbolic, said, well, is it really? Anyway, said he had previously offered to change his political party affiliation to independent if he were an embarrassment to his Democratic colleagues. So that's why you would change your political party, not based on the fact that you are really a Republican, but that because you're an embarrassment. Anyway, he said, I said, me being a moderate centrist Democrat, i.e., a left-leaning Republican, if that causes you a problem, let me know and I'd switch to be independent, he told Capitol Hill reporters Thursday. He added, no one accepted his offer and that even if he switched parties, he would still caucus with the Democrats, as does Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and Maine Senator Angus King. This comes after a report from Mother Jones that Manchin had said he was considering leaving the Democrat Party. So he tried to clean it up. Manchin forcefully denied the report, telling reporters Wednesday he can't control the rumors and compared the claims to BS. So switching political parties isn't politically advantageous to Manchin, who currently chairs the Senate Energy Committee. His position in the party as a centrist also gives him major political power. For instance, a critical domestic priority for President Biden and congressional Democrats is a spending package that would expand the social safety net and invest in climate. Initially, its price tag was set at $3.5 trillion. But because Democrats are using a process called budget reconciliation to advance the legislation without any Republican support, they need all 50 senators that caucus with Democrats to be on board. After Manchin expressed he couldn't support something over $1.5 trillion, Democrats went back to the negotiating table to lower the size and scope of the deal. Brother Ibrahim, what is your take on that?
So from the outlook, it looks like Manchin he's the bad apple in the barrel full of apples, right? And we can't get nothing done because Manchin is in opposition to what the Democrats are trying to get done, right? That's the optics from the outside. I believe it's really just control opposition because we know the Democrats don't want to do nothing anyway. Why would you let one man stop what 49 other senators is trying to push forward, right? And then Biden doesn't get on his presidential bully pit and, talk about Manchin and bully him into doing what he needs to do or stir the party up in opposition to what Manchin does. No, he invites him to his house and they have tea and crumpets and they discuss it like gentlemen, right? And this because the Democrats are not trying to get anything done. This is just my personal opinion, but I personally believe Manchin is just a scapegoat for the Democratic Party, right? You got to choose somebody to blame it on, and Manchin is just taking a hit. You're supposed to be affiliated with parties based on your principles and ideas of how you think the government should run, right? Are you fiscally conservative? Are you big government? Are you small government? Are you for federal expansion? Are you for state rights, right? Those are the things that are supposed to divide your political ideology that lets you know what side of the aisle you're supposed to be on. But Manchin is just saying, hey, if the D don't work, I'll take an I. If the I don't work, I'll take an R, right? It really doesn't matter because the Democrats ain't going to do nothing to me anyway. I'm going to do what I want to do. I know they coward. Think of all the times Trump wanted to get something done, right? And if you didn't get on the Trump train, he would come and he would stand on this bully pulpit and he would let the voters know this guy ain't for us. He come up for re-election, get him out of there. Matter of fact, we might get him out of here now. I need Biden to have that same energy he has for his black voter base, the one he said that he got our backs, the one he calls boys and curly head kids growing up in jungles and everything. He needs to have that same energy for Joe Manchin, right? But guess who else don't have that energy for Joe Manchin? The squad doesn't have that energy for Manchin. Maxine Waters don't have that. Nobody has energy for Joe Manchin, right? Everybody is just coddle the little racist, right? Because he's one of us. He's one of the good old boys, right? You got the right wing, you got the left wing on the same white supremacist bird, right? So I personally just feel it's in the end, when Biden comes up for re-election, He'll just be used as a scapegoat. Hey, I couldn't get nothing done. We had opposition in our own party. That's not what you said, though. You said, give me Warnock, give me Ossoff. We're going to have the majority lead. We got sister girl Kamala, right? And when anything comes on the 50-50 split, we're going to get it through there.
That's right.
Where's that same talk now?
That's right.
You know what is also interesting too, right? Because you gave an example on how when 45 had the throne, you know, when he wanted things done, he used his position to what? Apply pressure to who? The party leaders, all the senators and governors and representatives, they're party leaders. You understand? And so he used his position as the party leader to kind of like get people into, you know, lock and step. Like, let me get y'all together. If not, there's going to be some opprobrium that comes along with this, right? I'm gonna speak about it publicly. But what else also did we see, right? Especially during COVID, we got to see a lot of gubernatorial involvement, and we got to see executive pushback and solidarity on both sides from governors around the country. And we've seen it on several different kind of issues when the governors had their split, but they were brought into the national discussion about, you know, the Affordable Health Care Act. And so people have a lot of energy for Joe Biden, but they can't even tell you who their governor's name is, right? They don't even know what their governor's name is, but they can tell you everything about Joe Biden. And if Joe Biden, your governor, is the president of your state. So if you got a problem with a president of the United States of America, but don't even know who the president of your state is, we have a problem fundamentally as a group of advocates, right? And as a group of reparationists, right? And so if you're not pressuring your state leaders to pressure the national government, we have a fundamental problem, right? A comprehensive problem in the way that we execute our politics in this country. We have to get on our governor's asses, right? Because they are the executive heads of the states that we live in, and they have a voice, and they have a very large seat that they sit in and that they can use to apply pressure. The governors of the 50 states, right, are the heads of the Union of the United States of America. They can pressure the president and the legislature and everything else because they're the party leaders of their state. And so everything has a relationship, and we have to understand that relationship in government if our politics are going to be effective. Why are we not on our, like, don't you understand how the money works? How the senators get money and that money goes to the state, and how the House representatives get money and that money goes to the state, and then the state reps and the state senators get it and appropriate it to their districts, and then that goes to the mayors and the city council persons and all over this. Like, don't you understand what this, that everything is connected? And if you are at the base and at the foundation of this thing, you can cause it to shake all the way up at the top. But you got to shake where you're closest to. You can't shake the top. You're not close at the top. You're close to that foundation. Shake the foundation, and then you'll get what you want at the top, or you'll get it to respond at the least.
See, they want, during the pageantry of the general election, they make you feel as if you're close to the top. They, through the media, have this magical way of causing you to bypass your local politics, unless it's a senator. Oh no, they throw all of their resources behind that senator, right? And your local races, they really mean nothing to you. And you know, Sister Tara spoke about apathy earlier, and you know, being bogged down to this Democratic Party. It has brought that about. It has brought about the disaffected Democrats that are jumping ship, black freedmen at that, who are going on over to the Republican Party. And we don't, for whatever reason, we just don't get it. But I think people are starting to wake up now. There's some heat. There's no way that this story in the Wall Street Journal can come out after careerist Democratic pundits and liberal writers started to criticize Biden earlier this year. People that was all on the Biden bandwagon arguing with anybody that said anything different about black agendas, reparations, etc., all of a sudden had a critique for Jim Crow Joe. What do you think that they're saying now? I'm not seeing anything coming out in print as of yet, but what do you do when you see you're a black man or woman, you are in the media, and you see this story come? You know, first you brought the Afghans over. You wanted to give them what, free homes or something like that, and $2,500 a piece pocket change to walk around with until they got themselves on their feet. Black Americans down in Freedmen, down there in New Orleans after Hurricane Ida, they got nothing from the federal government. We had to come on our platform and do the best that we can for a couple of families because they couldn't get nothing from the federal government. Now, you want to give each immigrant family, illegal aliens, illegal alien
yeah, there you go, brother. That's what you call them, like Barbara Jordan did back in the 90s. They're illegal aliens. I'm tired of softening up language for criminals and people who come into this country illegally. You're not an immigrant. You're an alien. You're alien to this government, its constitution, its laws, its customs, and you're alien to anything far as privileges are concerned. And so what you are realistically, this is not an emotional thing. Legally, you're a criminal and you're an undesirable in this country. And we need to stand in solidarity on that, because now you have a split and a fractionalization of our politics, because y'all love the Democrats so much that y'all done got so far in over your head that you want to help criminals get $500,000. What kind of sense do that make?
That's right. And like I said earlier, and we talked about earlier, y'all going to let them just whip the Haitians and do them dirty. And nothing is going to come about that. Who's going to talk about reparations for the Haitian people? I'm not talking about reparations for nobody but the freedmen. We freedmen first. But in fairness, if y'all are going to give this money to these Hispanics who, if they were legal citizens, would be considered white people, then what about those that have brown skin, the Haitians? It shows that white supremacy, even in America, it doesn't matter. They're going to get at you. They will get at you. And what they did to them Haitians at the border was horrendous. And like we said, if you go and whip the Haitians, whip all of them. Whip the Hispanics and anybody else who you feel is trying to come here illegally.
That's right.
Period. And if you're going to pay the Hispanics, pay the Haitians too.
Yeah.
Pay us first.
But we'd rather you just get them all out of here. You understand? Because there's no need, and it's impacting the national interest. And until freedmen get justice and equity that we've put into this country, how can you explain immigration being in the national interest? Yeah, I don't see how you do that when you have all of this rhetoric surrounding deficit myths and debt obligations and all of this. Wow, the country's going broke and the public debt. Like, they sell all these scare stories and these horror stories around money on you when you want something, but then they can just start showing you the amazing omnipotent power of the monetary sovereign government and the United States Treasury, and they can just start paying families $500,000. They say, you know what, they talk about how they've had an immigration problem, that then they'll just bring plane loads of immigrants over here and then set them up, undergirding them immediately with EBT, food stamps, and basically a form of Section 8, giving them housing and then giving them job training, like all of this government help to come over here and be made. You gave them more help than you gave the freedmen. Well, goddamn. Right. And so the freedman was supposed to get all of this stuff that everybody else is getting, all this undergirding, all this education. And like, we're setting them up, you're giving you homes and we're giving you jobs, and like, we'll give you some walk around money so that you can like feel what it's like to have some American cash in your pocket. Where is all this love for us? You understand? Then what they say, they talked about how a moral stain. Wasn't that what the words he used? We had a moral stain.
That's right.
Talk about it.
That's right.
How
Yeah,
is
man.
that?
Ali.
How can you sell being concerned with moral stains and the necessity to fix them when you still got the moral stain of the treachery that was done to the freedmen? You don't care nothing about that. Come
That's right.
on,
Right. That's
Senator.
what Josh was talking about. They just stole the language out of our you know, justice, advocacy, and just put it in there. Put it in there for the immigrants, man. I mean, the aliens.
But can you blame them, Ali? I mean, all of this stuff is so blatant and horrendous, right? And heinous even, right? And then you got so many of our people that still come up with ways to support them. So they feel like we've created that attitude in the Democratic Party that feels like, you know what, we can really do anything to them, and we really have it. Like, we got their vote no matter what. We have them as such a trick bag. We can literally go on TV and tell them they ain't shit and that we're going to replace them, and they'll still vote for us. Watch this. And Joe Biden pulled it on you. And then you get
Sounds like the battered woman syndrome.
yeah, the battered somebody syndrome. I don't know what kind of syndrome it is, but it's a syndrome that is
You
destroying the
just beat
freedom.
her and she comes home. You just beat her and she comes back home.
And that's traumatic, right? And so it's that right there is really mind-boggling to me. But I understand how people lose sight and lose political imagination. And sometimes you just have to recage and regroup and understand how to get back to grassroots politics. But that's what happens when your eyes are just solely thinking about federal options. When you look in your backyard and you understand how your government works, I promise you will see real effective ways to produce change and make that phenomenon act in the desired manner right where you live.
Indeed. Indeed. So, family, we came on tonight. We wanted to have a conversation and put out a call to action. Brother Robert Reed had asked a question. Let me see. Let me pull that back up. Man, where did it go?
It better not be good, or we gonna go for another hour.
he spoke about us organizing, like basically what was the plan. I think Brother Robert Reed came in a little bit late. Okay, he said, I would love for there to be talk surrounding strategy. What does grassroots organizing look like, and where should we aim that political power? So earlier we spoke about initially having like marches on each state's capital. This is how we raise our voice. This is how we raise our profile, because everybody is going to speak about on a particular day in several states of this union. Freedmen got together, Freedmen and sympathizers, right? And supporters and allies, if you want to use that term, got together and said, what about us? Biden's administration and the Democratic Party, the party of benign neglect, has been ignoring us ever since he got into office. And we go from there. We're going to craft a strategy, of course, and how we do it. I'm just, speaking off the cuff right now.
Just like for that brother there and people who feel and think the same thoughts, y'all are individuals who need to get with us directly, right? Because like you said, we can't really go into depth about strategy on YouTube because that just doesn't make a lot of sense. But we would love to have people. You need to go to our website, right? Become a member of the platform so that we can be in connection with each other. Follow us on social media so that somebody can get you and talk to you in real life, because when we build, we want to build in real life. We don't want to just build database advocacy support. We want to get in real life. This is a way that we can reach out to people that across the country and across the world even. But if you really are interested in organizing, like you said, and political action, get with one of us directly so that we can talk and cultivate that in a private manner. We have to understand the difference between public and private business and conversation, right? And so not only about this, like for the app, we've already talked about this, the coordinated strategic marches and vigils on state capitals for political causes and bringing a national awareness to a certain issue, right? We talked about that, but just understand that every successful movement worked that way, and then you'll start to understand how you need to work up all your advocacy. If you understand that the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense was a local movement that spread throughout the state and then ended up spreading national, if you understand how the Freedom Riders movement spread and started local and then state and national, if you understand how the sit-ins and what I almost mentioned the Messiah of Mission Drift. If you understand how Dr. King and the civil rights movement and SLIC and SNCC and all the different organizations they started locally, they built that trust and support with their people at home, and that thing spread nationwide and that thing spread statewide, right? So we have to understand federalism and understand that organizing on the local, on the closest level, where because politics is a lot like real estate, like it's all about proximity. Your proximity to power is going to be all the deciding factor of your ability to exercise that power. And so we have to understand that, right? If you're just someone who has, let's say you have 10,000 followers on Twitter and Instagram, but you can't put people together at home. We're limited in what we can do. You have limited yourself to like digital advocacy, and that's cool. Like that's where you can work. But if you're interested in grassroots politics and doing actual real organized political work in real life, right? And you have to make it a personal thing with personal people, far as relationship build, and that's how coalitions build. You got to get with the people, and the people are in the real world.
Indeed. So some people saying they tired of marching, and I understand. I like what Sister Tara says. It's not a marching occupation, and we could definitely call it that. But what we want to do is bring attention to our plight. So if you coordinate something like that, and let's just say it's 20 different states.
Brother Naheem, I got to make a caveat, right?
Go ahead, bro.
The disclaimer. It is not wise to call, especially in our position, to call anything that we're doing an occupation. That can be turned into something that could be misconstrued by the enemies and the opponents another kind of way, and we'll be facing a real serious issue. You don't want to use words like occupation that could give a different tone, and our opponents can turn that into something very dangerous for the people, and we don't want to put our people into any harm, right? Especially planning the harm in, right? So we got to be careful. Like, just because you see white folks say, oh, we're going to occupy Wall Street and we're going to occupy the White House. Occupation is a violent word. It's a hostile word to use. And if you're not really meaning to be hostile, you shouldn't use hostile language in your advocacy. That's just a all with love disclaimer to everybody out there. If you still feel that and you want to do that, just be prepared for what becomes behind that. And please, like, don't use the Freedman name when you do it.
I still like
it. Yeah, but do you want our people to be terrorists?
Nah, I feel you. No,
because that's what they'll call our people. We talking about we occupying state capitals and we have our history and who we are. You'll get labeled as a terrorist and then you'll hang.
No, I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. So look, we passed 2 hours on here. This was a powerful discussion, family. And we're putting out a call to action. Let's organize in every state that we're in. Let's try to make our presence known on every state capital. We have to do something drastic. We gotta, like, this angered me earlier. This angered me, and I seen people angered. There were people in the chat earlier. I think it was Sister Miss Battle. She said she wasn't even going to watch tonight and join in because she was so angered by the fact that they are offering $450,000 a piece to these people. To recap, I played Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Zoom call where she spoke about this and said that these people deserve reparations. I also played her when asked about African-American reparations, quote unquote African-American reparations, how she danced around it and basically said we should just stop thinking in terms of race. We're all one people. That's basically all lives mattered our reparations claim, and said no to it. If you boil it down to the essence of what she was saying, no, we shouldn't do reparations for black people. But her people, Hispanics, are about to get, they're being considered for reparations. And the way I'm reading it, they're saying by November, this thing might be a reality. We have to make our voices heard. Then I played Joe Biden out of his own mouth on the debate stage saying that Hispanics, when asked about reparations for African Americans, getting loud and bold, completely avoiding the question, and started talking about how Hispanics will be the future of our country and how we need to invest in them, like it or not. And that's what they've been doing while we keep turning out in record numbers to vote for them. I say, vote blue. No, I mean, don't vote blue in 2022. We not doing that. Don't vote blue no matter who stuff. They need to feel a political consequence. And we can make enough noise, even if it's small groups of us all over the country. We can make enough noise to get picked up by the media and say that this is happening all over the country. This group, the Freedmen, America's builders, America's first real assets, are here saying we want what's owed to us. You will no longer ignore us. And the fact that you have ignored us, Democrats, you will pay a price in 2022. And by the time 2024 rolls around, there'll be enough Freedmen politicians running that we don't even have to really worry about these Democrats too much anymore. But they will get the message. They will get the message that in 2022, we didn't just lose on bad messaging or the usual flips of power between red and blue during the midterm elections. No, we lost because we failed to have the people's back whom we said backs that we'd have, period. That's how you send a message to these people. Get mad. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? So, man, it's getting late. Anybody, look, let's run through everybody. Let's give a closing statement real quick, and then we could get up off of here. Let's start with Brother Ibrahim. I don't think Ibrahim or Brother Ali.
I would just say, it's time for action. I'm fed up. I've been past fed up. This story today ignited a lot of just bad feelings that we have for the Democratic Party. And for a lot of us, it's just boiled over. Everything we asked for as far as, Biden putting together a task force, Biden expediting things, having our back, getting it through. We heard no. And then it comes to this and you see what happened. And you say you can have it done by November so you guys can have a great Christmas. Like, if this doesn't bother you, I don't know what will, right? We've been on the cliff, and now you get to see them push us off, right? And everything Logic said about how they was able to get that money counter going, they did this through what's being called an economic downturn, and you can see our people's plight in there. So if you can do this for them, you can do this for us. Everything needs to stop. We need to stop doing everything we're doing politically to benefit the Democratic Party. Everything comes to a halt, and everything has to be about freedom, and that's all I got to say.
Indeed, Brother Ali.
Yes, indeed, bro. I think we touched on a lot of important points. I hope the family took everything in, and I'm just going to leave it at that so we can just get up on out of here.
Definitely. Brother Josh.
Just go home. Peace.
Brother Logic.
Yeah, man. Government is the game, and politics is how it's played, man. I'm out.
Straight like that. So, family, we leave you with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. With that, I say peace.